So I just wanted to say that I'm super excited that Zach Murphy from biology is able to join us today because I actually did this class with him. General biology lab has many, many sections, and for one of the weeks, I come in and talk about scholarly dissemination. And although I had done the iPad training, I was really nervous about doing it. And it was Dr. Murphy that actually guided me through it and pushed me through sharing. And now I can't stop. I just absolutely love using it. So this class, the students would finish this activity where they would chart the development of literature coming out about the link between autism and the MMR vaccine. And so they do this. You can already see I'm getting hot. So one of the things that I loved is that I was nervous about setting this all up. I actually joined with my iPad so that they didn't actually stare at me doing this. So for people who are used to this, they're like, oh, that's fine. But I didn't want the students staring at me struggling. And so the students all we had to convert this class to a in-class session to a synchronous online session. And so the students for this activity would normally be working in groups and filling out a paper worksheet, and then they'd be coming up to the board to diagram at the end kind of their findings. For this, we had to make multiple sections here, and this was the template that's coming up. So this is the activity the students had to complete. They had to go through and, depending on their groups, look at these different articles. Then they had to tag what type of article they were, and then report if the article had some type of link to autism. It actually worked really well this way, and I can't wait for next year's students to all have iPads. So I think I'm going to jack up this session even more and have them do some of their own annotations. So what happened is at the end, they would then chart this by scholarly, popular, primary, secondary, tertiary across the board. Now in the classroom, I would have projected this up onto the board using Excel. All the students would come up and write in there, and then we would have a discussion about what it looked like. For this conversion, the reason why I'm so happy that Dr. Murphy's here is that for part of the week, I didn't use the Apple Pen and Notability, and for part of the week, I did. So I'm going to make sure I leave time for him to comment about what the closing of this lesson looked like when I had the pen, and I'm going to show you. So I used Notability, so that's a great tie-in to what everybody was saying, and I brought in my template for the answers for that. And I am excited to be able to record and be able to share Notability next year. I'm super excited about that. So in the past, if Lauren Calamaris was here at Cockman, this is what I love. I would always run out of the whiteboard markers, right? Oh, I only have blue today. Like I have to make a dotted line. I only have black today. But with Notability, I was able to go in and use the draw a best fit line, and I got the line to snap, as you can see at the bottom here. Where before, if I was in the classroom, I'm just drawing and it's all wonky and I'm really short, so I could never reach the top part of the dry erase board. So I actually think that this was way better than the in-person experience. So you can see here I was able to change colors when I wanted to talk about a different concept that we were analyzing. So red here was, we had talked about peer review, and then all of a sudden we had an article that had a poor peer review, right? Then we were connecting some different retractions and author retractions, and that was in yellow. And then I was able to talk about some of the groupthink with the green lines there, and we were able to circle and highlight it. So I will give up the mic to Dr. Murphy to tell you about what was this experience like for him and the students when I used the pen and when I didn't.
Yeah, so it was kind of nice because we unintentionally ran a nice little experiment, and I think Michelle was greatly underselling how difficult it was for her to transition this concept into an online format, and it worked absolutely tremendously. And so initially, students, when didn't have the Notability function, students certainly received the concept, but what you can kind of see from just what Michelle has here was once she was able to share her screen, it's that real-time annotation and connection that students really were able to walk away seeing this, descending line and understanding, what does that mean for what we're looking at. And it was really critically important because a lot of students charted this wrong because it was the first time they're working with information. And so that's fine, and something for us in general biology, we love when people are wrong because it's a learning experience. But that first group, without they didn't get to see this nice line, we were left with our fighting against our urges to point and move and draw and all those things that we would normally do in person, which was beautifully replicated using this format. And so even for me, since I'm the first time I was running or part of this lab, it was a great experience for me. And even I found myself saying like, oh, this makes sense. I can make these connections. I can see how things are moving. And it clearly added to the student experience. Back some of those things you miss when you're not in person, when you're not with them in the room. Because if you're like me, you hover over groups and you point to things and you prod students. And all of that kind of functionality came back with this. I call it simple. This is pretty complicated what we're able to do now, but it seems like this simple addition of this process.
Thanks, Zach. Katie, that was about it. It was just bringing in this one this one Google Sheet template, and then using that to mock it up for each of those sessions.